Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a completely cinematic journey from the rigid, super predictable city of legacy automation straight into the high-tech, dynamic control center of modern agentic AI. If you've been following the evolution of enterprise tech at all lately, you know we are way past just talking about simple scripts. We're talking about autonomous systems that can actually reason, act, and adapt on the fly.
Okay, picture this. Imagine a dark, futuristic city filled with neon blue and purple lights, massive digital billboards, and holographic interfaces everywhere. Now, transition that vision inside a high-tech control center where humanoid AI robots are autonomously managing glowing dashboards, digital pipelines, and complex neural networks. It feels like a scene straight out of a cyberpunk sci-fi movie, right? But actually, no. This is the very real, new reality of enterprise workflows. Instead of humans manually dragging tasks from point A to point B, we have AI-powered systems that intelligently analyze data, make split-second decisions, execute workflows, and continuously optimize themselves in real time.
Here's our digital blueprint for the Explainer today. We'll start with the basics of the AI control center, move beyond traditional rule-based logic, and then peek under the hood at core AWS architectures. From there, we'll scale it up to hyper-automation, lock it down with some necessary governance, and finally look at the concrete ROI and what this means for your future workforce. Let's get into it. Section 1. The AI Control Center. Let's lay the groundwork for what actually powers this thing.
So first things first, what exactly is an AI workflow? Think of it as our core engine. Basically, it's a sequence of automated steps where AI systems process information, make decisions, and perform actions based on predefined goals or real-time data. Now, unlike manual tasks, this is a highly intelligent sequence that executes in seconds, completely without human involvement. Think about a customer support pipeline for a second. A user sends a message, the AI instantly analyzes the intent, generates a resolution, and executes the fix. Boom! All before a human agent could even open the ticket. It's wild.
Moving on to Section 2, beyond traditional rule-based automation. Let's leave the old, rigid rules behind us.
Look, for years, we all relied on traditional automation. You know the drill. If X happens, do Y. And sure, it's incredibly fast, but man, is it rigid. The second a process deviates, even slightly, the whole thing breaks. AI automation, on the other hand, is a massive, massive leap forward. It actively learns from data. It actually understands context. It makes dynamic decisions, and it adapts to complex new situations. It doesn't just blindly follow a path, it figures out the absolute best path to take.
So a modern AI workflow really comes down to 6 core steps. We start out with data collection and processing. Pretty standard. But then we hit the cognitive layer, AI analysis and decision-making. This is where the system actually reasons about what to do next. Finally, it executes an automated action and immediately jumps right into step 6, monitoring and optimization. It learns from what literally just happened so it can do it better the next time. It's a continuous, self-improving loop.
Section 3, Core Architecture and Agent Patterns. This is where we move from theory to the actual structural diagrams, the real brains of the operation.
Okay, check out this AWS basic reasoning loop. This right here is the foundational node, the absolute bedrock of our entire network. A query comes in, it gets structured into a prompt, and then it's processed by the large language model, or LLM. The LLM acts as this incredible reasoning engine to generate a context-aware response. It's stateless, it's lightweight, and it's highly composable, making it the perfect building block for everything else we're going to build.
But let's be real. A single node isn't going to cut it for complex enterprise workflows. That's where we get into a pattern called prompt chaining. This is where we break down a massive task into sequential reasoning steps. So the output of the first LLM prompt literally becomes the exact input for the next one. It's basically a cognitive assembly line, progressively analyzing and refining the data step by step until you reach a highly accurate final output. And if you want to see the real-world impact of stringing these agents together, just look at this quote from Transor regarding a multi-agent deployment over at Wells Fargo. They used a supervisor-worker pattern, which is where a central boss agent routes subtasks to specialized worker agents, and by doing this, they gave 35,000 bankers access to 1,700 internal procedures in 30 seconds rather than 10 minutes. 10 minutes down to 30 seconds. That is the sheer power of turning static, boring documents into an active, intelligent retrieval network.
All right, Section 4, hyperautomation and system orchestration. Let's see what happens when we scale this all up.
Scaling up brings us to hyperautomation. This completely transcends basic task completion.
We're talking about combining AI, robotic process automation, analytics, and complex system integrations to automate an entire business process across multiple departments from start to finish. So we aren't just automating a simple invoice approval anymore, we are automating the entire procure-to-pay cycle across finance, procurement, and vendor management, all in one continuous autonomous workflow.
And that level of scale brings us to the Saga orchestration pattern. Think of this AWS orchestration diagram as the glowing neural network of our control center. See the central orchestrator routing tasks? It takes a massive input, breaks it apart, and dispatches tasks to parallel LLMs simultaneously. Once they all finish up their specialized reasoning, the synthesizer weaves it all together into one cohesive, complex business outcome. It's division of labor, but literally happening at the speed of light.
Section 5. Governance and human oversight. Because building a sci-fi control center is awesome, but we definitely need to keep it from turning into a dystopia.
Now, listen to this. According to Gartner, a shocking 40% of agentic AI projects fail. 40%. Why? Mostly because of runaway loops, hidden API costs, zero observability, and massive security gaps. Think about it. When you give AI the agency to act on its own, and it makes a mistake at 1,000,000 times a second, that failure gets incredibly expensive, incredibly fast.
So how do we stop these catastrophic runaway loops? Well, enterprise guidelines from Trantor say you absolutely must implement strict token budgets and recursion limits before you ever hit deploy. But more importantly, you have to enforce security boundaries at the infrastructure level. You can't just type, "Please don't access the payroll database" into a prompt and hope for the best. You have to architect the system so the runtime itself physically blocks any unauthorized action. On top of that, we need a solid framework for safe decision-making. I really love ABBY's human-in-the-loop model for this. Basically, automation remains the primary decision-maker, handling all the classification and extraction at hyperspeed. But the human overseer is strategically placed to step in only when specific risk thresholds are exceeded. So if an invoice looks fraudulent, or a contract clause is a bit ambiguous, it routes to a human. The human makes the call, and that decision feeds right back into the AI to optimize it for next time. It's the perfect balance of massive scale and safe, accountable governance. Finally, Section 6, ROI and future workforce. Let's talk about the bottom line.
Let's look at some concrete department-level data from Cflow. The numbers here are just wild. Finance teams, they're saving 40% in processing time while slashing errors by 60%. Procurement is literally cutting their time in half and reducing errors by a massive 70%. And HR is seeing great numbers too. These aren't made-up projections. These are the actual efficiency gains you get when you replace manual document routing with intelligent, automated decision routing.
But the real takeaway here is that AI workflow automation isn't just about saving a few pennies or shaving a couple of minutes off a task. We are completely shifting from isolated, incremental cost reduction to total, end-to-end business transformation. You're basically freeing your workforce from acting as manual data routers. Now they can focus on strategy, building relationships, and handling the exceptions that actually require real human empathy and deep expertise.
So, as we power down our AI control center for today, I want to leave you with a provocative thought straight from KPMG's strategy playbook. Are you just adopting AI to do the exact same things a little bit faster, or are you truly ready to reshape your entire workforce and redesign how work actually happens? The technology is absolutely here, the patterns are proven, and the choice is yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.